to another weekly market breakdown. If you are new to the channel, a sub would be appreciated as I provide valuable educational content on a daily basis. And if you enjoy the video, please smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. And as always, just let me know down in the comments below exactly what it is that you would like for me to cover in my next video. This week we've got some high impact news for the Euro, the USD, as well as Nzd and Gbp as well. If you don't understand what these news mean for the economy, you can just refer back to a video that I've done explaining exactly how you can read that and use it in your trading plan as well. Now we're first going to look at the Japanese yen index and understand what kind of price action we have around here. Firstly, from a monthly perspective, we can see how the market is currently testing this strong level of support. Now this level of here acted as a level of support. The market broke below that, found new support, then came up, broke above that, and it's now testing it as support once again. In doing so, we can also see how the market had printed this weird looking inverted head and shoulders, further confirming, apart from the fundamental data, that we can expect some bullish momentum coming from the Japanese yen. And we also know that the Japanese yen is a safe haven, so it rides off the back end of uncertainty in the market. Now, here on the weekly time frame, what do we have? Now, from a weekly perspective, we can see how the market firstly printed this equal low. The market also printed this green candle over here that is acting as structure. So there is a good opportunity going into next week for us to see the market complete this W formation, which is considered a bullish pattern from a technical perspective. Now we can definitely expect the market to go and hit that previous level of resistance to complete the right leg of the W formation. Now from a daily perspective, what do we have? Now here on the daily time frame, it's quite clear that we have this strong structural area that the market had gone to test on Friday. Now if you look back, you can see this level over here acted as a level of support. Market broke below that, tested it as resistance multiple times. Resistance got broken, became support. Support did not hold. The market then tested that level once again as resistance multiple times, and it's back to test that level once again. Now going into next week, once again we can definitely expect this market to break above that level, come back for the retest, then start the continuation as well. We can also see how the market printed this impulse correction after an impulse. We had the correction, taking the Fibonacci there from the low to the high. You can see how the market tested and rejected the 78.6 over there. So we can definitely expect that upward momentum to continue. We can either see the market come and test this area in the market over here first before the market starts that breakout of the continuation to the upside for the USD, for the JPY, to go and recover those gains that it had lost over the past couple of months. Next up, we've got the AUD JPY starting here on the monthly time frame. What do we have? Now, from a monthly perspective, it's very clear that the market is currently testing a very strong level of resistance. Now this level over here acted as excuse me, now this level over here acted as resistance, and we can also see how the market had printed this strong structural level as well. Now this level over here acted as resistance. Market broke above that, came back to test it as support. The market then broke above, so then the market went up, created a new high, came down, then rejected that level once again. Market went up, printed new structure. The market never broke above that structure for us to start looking for that selling opportunity, for that buying opportunities. We can definitely expect the market to come back to test that level, hopefully break below that level in the market due to the uncertainty that we currently have over there. Now from a weekly perspective, what do we have? Now from a weekly perspective, price action is very choppy. Firstly, if we look over here, you can see how the market printed that level of resistance. Resistance got tested multiple times and did not hold. Now if you look left over here, you can also see how the market printed this level of support that got broken, tested as resistance multiple times, and that's basically where the market is stuck in at the moment. Now from a weekly perspective, now if we drop down on the daily time frame, what do we see? Now from a daily perspective, I think the price action is a lot clearer over here. So if you look at this level over here, this level in the market acted as a level of support, resistance, support again, and it's now once again support. But if you look slightly above there, you can see how this level over here had acted as resistance multiple times as well. Now in a situation like this, the best way to approach the situation, now because we expect the JPY to increase in strength, we have to be reactive and not predictive, because we have to learn to adapt to the ever-changing market environment. going into next week, we can definitely expect the market to break below that level, then retest that before the continuation as well. In doing so, the market would then give us this information to the neckline, which is considered a bearish pattern from a technical perspective, and also completing this impulse correction and impulse pattern. Now, next up, we've got Gbp Jpy starting on the monthly time frame. Very clear. The market is currently testing a very strong level of resistance. So we can also see how the market had been stuck within this consolidation phase since what do we have here? Since the 1st of April in 2021, and the market never got an opportunity to break out of that level. So now that we've got a lot of uncertainty in the market, we can definitely expect this bearish momentum to continue as it's been going for the GBP as well. So from a weekly perspective, what do I have now? From a weekly perspective, we kind of have the same we have the same type of price action that we saw on the monthly time frame. Market printed this triple top over here, which is considered a bearish pattern from a technical perspective. But if we look left, you'll see over here that we also have this level that the market created. Now this was the W formation that the market printed to the neckline. We saw that continuation. Unfortunately, that continuation couldn't continue due to not only the structure that we have in the market, but also due to the uncertainty that we have in the market. Now from a daily perspective, what do we have? Now here on the daily time frame, the price action is quite interesting. Firstly, we can see this level over here. Sorry about that. This level over here is a very important structure. Why? This level over here acted as support, resistance, resistance, resistance. And we can see how the market is busy breaking below that level there as well. Now, going into next week, we can definitely expect a drop in terms of continuation. Also, we have to be very careful with this type of price action. Why? Because the market had printed this long ass liquidity wick that the market could probably go and test again and then pull back. So the best way to approach the situation is that because we are currently testing this strong level of support, what I would suggest is we wait for a clear break below that level and on the retest, and then start looking for that continuations to the downside as well for Gbp Jpy. Next up, we've got Gbp Usd starting on the monthly time frame. What do we have? Firstly, we can see this level over here acted as a strong level of support, got broken, resistance got tested multiple times, and the market failed to break above that level. From a weekly perspective, what do we have? Firstly, we can see how the market had just completed this W formation to the neckline. Market started that continuation and is now threatened by the level of resistance that it is approaching in the market as well. Now here on the daily time frame, you can see how the market is currently still stuck within this consolidation phase, and there is no possible opportunity for us to look for any buying or selling opportunities. The level of resistance and the level of support. So until we get a clear break of either side, then we can start looking for buying or selling opportunities. So if this market does break and close on the daily time frame to the upside, then we can start looking for buying opportunities. But if the market does break and close to the downside, we can expect this weird looking information to be completed as well. So what does a break look like? Simple. You wait for a daily candle to close below this level, not a daily candle that is still open, because you can see how the market had, how we had all of this liquidity wicks in the market. And if you're a scalp trader, you'd have probably lost a lot of money, because you would have probably been on 1 hour time frame where it looked like the market had broken below this level. You would have entered and the market would have just pulled back. So just wait for a daily candle to break and close below this level, not like that. Next up, we have got the Nasdaq 100. Now I've done a full detailed breakdown of the Nasdaq 100 when the market was sitting at this level, explaining for all of the reasons why we could see that market going to test that level, and then why we could expect the market to continue to the downside. And everything has gone as anticipated. Next week we can expect the market to slightly pull back before the continuation there as well. And I'm not gonna do a full breakdown on the Nasdaq once again. If you are looking for a full breakdown, you can just refer back to the video on my Instagram channel, and I'll leave a link in the description below where you can see that breakdown that I've done. I think I've also done a breakdown on YouTube for that, so I'm not gonna jump into too much Nasdaq. Well, what we can see is that now that the market had broken below this very important structure over here, this level here acted as resistance, support, and it's now once again turned resistance. Also, the market printed this massive impulse. After an impulse, you expect a correction, and the best way to measure that correction is by taking your Fibonacci there from the high to the low. You can see how the 0.382 is lining up perfectly with that structure that we can expect the market to pull back to. So going into next week, we can definitely expect the Nasdaq to pull back first, and then we could potentially see the market continue lower. So the best way to approach the situation is wait for the market to pull back to that level and see what kind of price action you get around there before starting to look for any buying or selling opportunities. Next up, we've got Gbp Jpy starting on the monthly time frame. What do we have? Firstly, we can see how the market excuse me, had printed this very important structure. The market had now also completed this head and shoulders pattern, which is considered a bearish pattern from a technical perspective, which we can definitely expect the market to continue lower. From a weekly perspective, what do we have? Now, firstly, we can see this level over here acted as a level of support. Support got broken, got rejected, and tested twice as resistance, definitely giving us an indication that there's a downward momentum expected in the market. Now, from a daily perspective, what do we have? Now, the most recent price action that we do have is very choppy. Firstly, this over here had acted as a level of support. Support got broken. Now this is the level that we need to look out for as well. But I am very confident in saying this. Going into next week, definitely a pullback expected to that level before the continuation as well. Market printed this massive impulse, so we're expecting that correction. And if you take your Fibonacci there from the low to the high, not only is the 0.382 lining up perfectly with that structure that we have over there, but we also have the market currently testing a strong level of support that we can expect the market to reject from before the continuation to the downside there as well. Next up, we've got the USD. I also did a breakdown for the USD. Now the situation, I'm just going to jump straight onto the daily time frame. Situation we got here on the USD is quite simple. The market had printed this head and shoulders pattern, which is considered a bearish pattern from a technical perspective. As far as fundamental data goes, the oil should be quite bullish going into this week. So the easiest way to approach the situation is that we could potentially see some weakness in the oil, potentially, and I'm not saying that it is going to happen before we can see the market continue higher, but from where I'm sitting now, we could definitely expect oil to just continue higher and go and hit that $100 barrel mark going into not into next week, but in the future there as well. So I would suggest that you monitor the price around this area. Also, if we get a clear daily break above this level, then that would give us a good indication that the market is ready to move to the upside. Apart from that, if this tension between Russia and Ukraine continues, then that just serves as a further confluence. The same situation go here for gold. So on gold, we had this massive impulse correction, and if you take the Fibonacci there from the low to the high, you can see the market tested and rejected the 0.50 over there and hit the -27 as well. What's even more interesting is that you're on the weekly time frame. We can see the market had broken above this very important structural level, printed a massive impulse. After an impulse, you want the correction. And if you take your Fibonacci from the low to the high for the 0.382 to line up perfectly with that structure, going into next week, there's a good possibility for gold to continue higher and then potentially continue lower and then continue to move to the upside. Also, just one thing to keep in mind is that the fundamentals is a very strong driving factor behind safe havens such as gold. Next up, we've got Gbp CAD over here from on the monthly time frame. The Gbp CAD is currently testing very strong monthly resistance, so definitely a pullback expected over here. Market also printed this W formation. Once again, we can expect the market to pull back going into next week. On the weekly time frame, what do we have from a weekly perspective? Firstly, we can if you look left over here, you can see how the market is currently testing the strong level of support, and it's now testing it as resistance, giving us an indication that there's a pullback expected to at least a 0.382 of the Fibonacci taken on this weekly impulse. So we can definitely expect the market to come back and test that previous level of support that is now turned resistance on the daily time frame. What do I have now from a daily perspective? We can see how the market last week had broken above this very important structural level over here. Now we can definitely expect the market to come back and hit that level before the continuation to the upside. as well, but we have to be reactive and not predictive. So this move to the downside is definitely expected, but the move below this could also be expected for the continuation to the downside, because we've got some GBP news coming out as well. So if that news is negative for the GBP, then we can definitely expect some weakness in that as well. But we can expect this move to the downside to take place first. Also, next up, we've got Nzd Usd starting on the monthly time frame. Firstly, we can see this was a very important structure for the GBP USD. This level over here acted as resistance twice, as support once, and now acting as resistance again, giving us an indication that we can expect some downward momentum going into this week before we can see that continuation to the upside. The price action is a lot clearer here on the weekly time frame. As we can see, the market is now testing that level as resistance from a daily perspective. What do I have now on the daily time frame? I think I've done this breakdown on Friday on my Instagram there as well. So we had this impulse correction. Take the Fibonacci there from the low to the high. Well, we didn't get that rejection to the 78.6, which is quite okay. But we can see how the market had tested and rejected that level quite aggressively. So take your Fibonacci there from the low to the high. 0.32 is lining up perfectly with structure. We can definitely expect the market to pull back slightly lower and then start a continuation to the upside as well. We do have the interest rates for NZD coming out this week as well. So that will be a key contributing factor to look out for and see what kind of interest rates we're getting from the NZD over there as well. Now, that's it for your daily, weekly market breakdown. And as always, thank you for your time and cheers for years.